Now time for Sid 60. This is where I get 60 seconds to talk about anything. Here is what's on my mind this morning. Start the clock, please. Another long week in Ontario, no doubt. Haven't heard from Doug Ford in a while. We've heard from the NDP and Andrea Horwath. We continue to hear from the people of Ontario. They're mad, they're angry. But there's another voice I was interested in hearing. Steven Del Duca, leader of the Provincial Liberal Party, a party who prior to the Doug Ford administration had run Ontario politics for 14 straight years. Earlier this week on BT, I wondered out loud where he was. Take a look. If this bill is not passed by the end of the week, I'm taking my shopping cart, I'm going to the store, and I'm going through some aisles, and I'm going to take a look at what else is out there. And I mean, is it Horwath? Is Steven Del Duca, who I've seen once on camera in like 2 months? You might want to find a camera there, Liberals. They're out there. You might want to talk a bit more. Well, the one thing I've learned so far being on BT, and the biggest thing I've learned, I'd say, is that sometimes saying things on air can will things into existence. Where there's a will, there's a way. And Liberal leader Steven Del Duca has made his way onto BT. Good morning, Steven. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, good morning, Sid. Thanks so much for having me on.
Andy, listen, you're an important figure in this province, and we like having you on. Let's get right to it. 3 sick days. It passed yesterday. It is going to help, but a lot of critics say it's not enough. Where do you stand?
Listen, I agree. It is not enough. Clearly, both the Ontario Liberal Party and other opposition parties were calling for something more substantial. We weren't making it up on the back of a napkin the way that Doug Ford seems to. We were following the science. It's what I've strongly urged Doug Ford to do repeatedly, especially during this third wave. But I didn't want to stand in the way, and Ontario Liberals didn't want to stand in the way. People are getting sick. Tragically, people are dying in this province, and they need help right away. So we worked to pass this legislation quickly, but I still hope that Doug Ford will reconsider and expand the program urgently.
As a taxpayer, I'm glad unanimous consent was given yesterday by yourself and the NDP. I think it was time, and thank you for that. One last thing before we let you go. Rod Phillips, the Rod Phillips story, people may remember, former Minister of Finance in the province, late last year while the province was basically in lockdown, went to St. Bart's, and the controversy was huge. At the time, Doug Ford said he had no idea what was going on. Today in the Globe and Mail, based on emails that your party had given them, not only did top aides for Doug Ford know that Rod Phillips went on this vacation late last year, but the insinuation is Mr. Phillips was going to tell Doug Ford himself. What should the ramifications now be with these new revelations?
Well, look, I've been saying now this for a number of days. It's time for Doug Ford to go. I know that sounds like typical opposition political talk, but really and truly, it's a pattern of deceit. There's no other way to describe it. Whether we're talking about long-term care, paid sick leave, now this issue around Rod Phillips and what Doug Ford knew and when he knew it, he is clearly someone who is not up to the job. He's in over his head. He's got to go. There are about 400 days until the next provincial election in Ontario, and I'm going to keep working as hard as I can to make sure Doug Ford's first term in office is in fact his last term in office, because Ontario needs and deserves a lot better than this.
Mr. Del Duca, appreciate it. There's some space between now and that next provincial election next summer, and I'm sure a lot's going to happen between now and then. Have a good day, sir. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Take care.
There is the leader of the Ontario Liberal Party, Steven Del Duca. All right, coming up here on Breakfast Television, you sound off. Again, the vaccine news over the last 24 hours has gotten a lot better. 55 plus in Ontario, you are now eligible. They're hoping for all 18 plus people in this province by May 2-4 will be eligible for the first shot. Is Ontario's vaccine rollout now on track? 1-866-267-3797. Feedback at breakfasttelevision.ca, at Breakfast TV on Twitter 24/7. You sound off with Melanie and myself is next. It's 6:44. Good morning, Toronto. You're watching BT.